Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today's video is all about MS. I have relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. If you haven't already watched my diagnosis story, then I would recommend watching that first if you're interested in this video. If you have MS yourself, newly diagnosed, potentially have MS, or just if you're interested to learn more about me or about MS in general. I also have an MS Q&A video that I filmed earlier this year, so I will also leave that in the description box. I do post quite a lot about my MS on my Instagram page, whether on stories or in posts, so hello if you're from Instagram. And let's get straight into the video. So I thought I would film a kind of 5 things I wish I could go back and tell myself when I was first diagnosed with MS. So that's basically my advice to you as well if you are newly diagnosed, or if you know someone newly diagnosed, kind of some helpful information about how it feels and yeah, just some advice really. So a bit of context, just in case you haven't seen my other videos, I was diagnosed last November, so November 2020, after being in hospital. All details of my symptoms and everything in previous videos, but I have been relapse free now since February was my last relapse, so it is now October 2021 and my last relapse was February 2021, so it's been 8 months, is that? Which is really promising, and it's basically since I started my treatment in March. I'm on a monthly infusion called Tysabri, and that seems to be working really well, touch wood. It's always difficult because we don't have like a sliding doors life where we could see what it would look like without treatment, so I can't play out my life. You know, maybe I would have relapsed in these past 8 months, maybe I wouldn't have, we don't really know, but for now it feels quite positive. I do get flare-ups of day-to-day symptoms, but I have not had a full-blown relapse, which is usually new symptoms that you've never had before and consistent ones that will last for, well, a week or more, or at least a few days. I haven't had that. I get kind of symptoms coming in waves, maybe throughout one day or throughout a couple of days, but they're usually ones that I can relay back to previous kind of relapse symptoms, so that would be explained by some nerve damage that's already there in the brain. For example, tingling sensations in my limbs and my head, which I have had previously. That usually comes on after like periods, like we had a heat wave and stuff, or periods of stress. And sometimes some visual problems. I had double vision initially, so that's kind of from that. A couple of other things, like my hearing goes in and out when I'm exercising, and it's kind of a little sign for me to slow down. I'm a personal trainer, by the way, so fitness is a big part of my life, although I do also have a desk job. But yeah, this isn't meant to be my life story, so I will start talking about MS. I've got a few notes on my phone so I don't forget what I wanted to say. I think that's all the mini updates I wanted to do. I've talked about how I find Tysabri on my Instagram. I've got a reel that I posted recently, which is like a come with me to my infusion reel. So I'll link that below as well, and you can read the caption and it kind of explains everything about that. Right, I'm gonna actually start. Okay, so 5 things I wish I could go back and tell myself when I was first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So number 1 would be, this is not your fault. And this is of course advice to you if you are newly diagnosed. It's that basically nothing that you did or didn't do has caused you to have this chronic illness. It's not a case of, oh, you ate that, so now you have MS, or oh, you did that when you were 15 and now you have MS. It's an autoimmune disease. We don't entirely know why they happen. There are various triggers, which I've talked about in a previous video, but ultimately we don't really know why. Some people have it and some people don't. So I think the main thing is not to blame yourself. I know that it's really hard if you have a relapse and people might say, oh, it's because you've been really stressed or whatever, but you know, my relapse that led to my diagnosis was really bad with some really debilitating symptoms, but I was probably the happiest, most stress-free I've been for years, so it doesn't always follow on, and I think just taking away that self-blame is really, really important, especially when it comes to diet advice and things. You know, my consultant still tells me to just eat balanced, you know, fairly healthy, but you know, he hasn't never told me to cut anything out, so it's not a case of you shouldn't be eating that's going to bring on a relapse. It's just completely unknown, and while there are things you can do to perhaps reduce your risk of relapse if you have relapsing remitting MS, I really think the stress of kind of blaming yourself and constantly caught up in this question of, well, why me? Why is this happening? is only going to make things worse. And it's really normal at the beginning though to have those questions and to want answers as well, to think, why is this happening? But I think as time goes on, you learn a little bit more, but also you kind of have that acceptance that comes with it. It can happen to anyone. So yeah, be kind to yourself. It's not your fault. And there will be a time where you are more at peace with it all. And if you're not there right now, then that's totally fine. There's absolutely no rush to get there. Number 2 is stop putting so much pressure on yourself to feel better. Now this is particularly relevant if you're in the middle of a relapse or are quite acutely unwell. So last October, November, I was really unwell with double vision, numbness and pins and needles all up one side. It lasted for weeks. I'd been on steroids, so I was just so unwell from that. If you've been on steroids, you'll know that you are perhaps very sleep deprived, a bit delusional, constantly aches and pains. Like, it's just really, really awful. So I think something that I did a lot was, oh, well, by next Friday, I'm going to feel better and I'll be able to do that. Constantly benchmarking, I'll be better by then, I'll be better by then. And then comes around and you feel worse or like just really, really shit. Ooh, excuse my French. Then you've kind of set yourself up for failure. Like, I just felt constantly like I was failing because there's just so much going on. Like, you are going through a lot if you're going through an MS diagnosis. The whole period of time is so uncertain, it's so scary, it's so emotional, there's so much going on, as well as feeling physically and mentally unwell, that the last thing you need to do is add pressure. And I wish I could go back and just say to myself, this is perhaps, well, hopefully even, the only time in your life where you will feel this horrific and this uncertain for this amount of time. Therefore, give yourself a break. Like, I wish I could just go back and be like, you've got a whole month to just not do anything. Like, at the time, it obviously feels awful because you're told to rest, and rest just feels awful because you can't sleep. And yeah, it's just, yeah, it's horrible. Like, I understand when you're in it, it's like, well, I can't enjoy anything. I can't just watch a film. I can't do this. Like, everything feels so horrible. But one thing I do wish I could do is take the pressure off myself and just tell myself that it's going to be okay, and that a year later, which we are coming up to, which is kind of why I wanted to make this video, that you will feel better in a year. And like, look how far you've come mentally, and you know, you've not had a relapse for 8 months, and please just give yourself time because you are going through so much. So that would be my advice for you. Don't be so hard on yourself. This is just such an unusual and just life-changing experience, so please, please, please be kind to yourself. Okay, number 3 is you don't have to have it all figured out right now or be okay with it. It is a lifelong journey. So this is one which kind of comes hand in hand with the previous point, because it's that pressure you put on yourself to be okay, but also to, yeah, understand everything, you know, have everything figured out. But in reality, MS is so complicated. It can be such a tick box stage to even be properly diagnosed. It can take months, it can take years for some people. So that in itself is like a lot to go through. Then it's treatment. Are you going to go on treatment? Do you need to go on treatment? Do you want to go on treatment? Which treatment are you going to go on? There's like 10 different types of treatment. Then once you're on treatment, there's, yeah, just all sorts of other things to think about. Loads of hospital appointments, so much going on. So I think, again, it's taking off that pressure to immediately have it figured out. It's okay to say, actually, it's just a lot and I don't know how to feel. Those are all completely normal reactions. And everyone you see talking about MS positively, or, you know, even this video today, like, I come across as happy and positive and everything's great right now. And on the whole, I do feel like that, but I still, a year later, have so many awful days where it just feels all-consuming. I'll cry a lot. It'll be very kind of emotional thinking about what was happening this time last year. Some infusion days feel really emotional. I cried the night before this infusion because everything just got on top of me again. And, you know, you do sometimes still feel like, why me? And why do I even have to go and sit in hospital once a month and get this treatment that no one else has to worry about? One of the things I see a lot is people messaging saying, you're so positive, how do you still so positive? Like, I couldn't make this video last November, December, January, whenever. I think I made my first video properly on MS in, it was either February or March. So, you know, it's a good while after absorbing everything. So yeah, I just want to reassure you that if you don't have everything figured out and don't know how to feel and are feeling resentful or bitter or unhappy, then that's really normal. And yeah, just give yourself time to process everything, and you have time, you have the rest of your life, and things change all the time. there's so much going on with MS, like so much research, and even with my treatment with Tysabri, they're they have developed it to do it in injection form. So hopefully soon it will be available to have as an injection instead of an infusion, which in time will speed things up. But yeah, I won't bore you about that if you are not on Tysabri, because it's pretty boring to listen to. Oh, in case I didn't say, if it's not obvious from my accent, I am in the UK, so everything I'm talking about is relevant to the UK. I know that it's very different in the US and Europe and wherever else you are from, so yes. Number 4, this is about other people. I would tell myself or tell you that people do care. They just might not understand how life-changing things feel for you right now and how much support you need. So this one isn't meant to be harsh or aimed at anyone in particular. It is just the same with anything in life. Like if you're having kids, if you're getting married, you automatically gravitate to those people who have been through the same thing or who are interested in those things. And so, you know, perhaps your friendships change, or you chat more to someone who can fully understand and fully empathise. And it's exactly the same when you're diagnosed with a chronic illness or something else. The people you will connect with more, and I guess feel more understood by, are people who have been through similar things or know people who have been through similar things. I think my advice on that would be to not expect everyone to understand, because most people won't. Like, how can you? If you haven't experienced something, you can't understand it. So yeah, I think it can be a very lonely place being diagnosed. I guess it's just the same if you're the first person in your friendship group to be pregnant or something. You suddenly realise you don't have people who are going through the same thing or fully understand or to chat things about with. So yeah, I guess I just want to reassure you that people do care. Your friends, family, everyone cares. They just maybe don't like fully understand how to talk to you about it or how to support you. So it's okay to have those kind of like open conversations about it. And then putting a positive on it is that you might connect with new people and make new friends, whether it's from online support groups or people you meet with MS. I think because you automatically have that deep level of understanding, you end up making new friends, which is great, and also perhaps strengthening some previous relationships that you didn't know were as strong, if that makes sense. So there are definitely some positives to come out of it. By the way, if I've said a few sentences like out of order or that don't make sense, it's because I'm gonna blame MS, because I do find that I can't get my words out quite right as much as I used to. It's not so bad now, but when I'm tired, it's like, can't even string a sentence together. Bit of brain fog. But yeah, that is the kind of friendship one. So yeah, and if you are newly diagnosed and you don't know anyone, then maybe actively join groups. In the UK, there is a support group called MS Together, which I've talked about in previous videos. It's a Facebook group, and there's also an Instagram page, and it's for, I believe, 16 to 35-year-olds with MS, so it's meant to be like a young person support group. That's the only one I like actively know of and am part of, but I'm sure there's tons more. And yeah, everyone is super friendly. Everyone wants to help each other. Everyone wants to say hi. We all have very shared, similar experiences, even though MS is so different for everyone. So yeah, again, don't rush to do that if you're not ready or it doesn't feel quite right, but it is always something you can think about in the months to come once you've kind of absorbed everything. And if you're maybe struggling for support from your kind of close-knit family and friends, but hopefully you're not, because family and friends are amazing, and this wasn't to say that mine weren't, because they absolutely were. Like, I felt so supported, but it's just more that kind of deeper level of understanding that maybe you might feel you're missing from time to time, and the only people you might be able to get that from is other people with the same chronic illness. Definitely helps you to feel not alone. And on that note, number 5 is you are not alone. I'm just going to hammer that home because you aren't alone. I have MS, other people watching this video have MS, thousands of people across the world have MS. You are 1000% not alone. And my biggest piece of advice, or something I wish I could go back and tell myself, is please don't shrink your feelings or your symptoms just to accommodate other people. So by this I mean, because most people can't relate to pins and needles down your left side that's lasted for weeks or whatever it might be, it doesn't mean it isn't valid. It is so valid. Just because you can't see it, because people don't understand the emotions you're going through because they've not been through this kind of diagnosis, it doesn't mean it isn't valid. You are definitely not alone, even though it might feel like you are. Like I mentioned in my previous point, there are support groups, there's charities like the MS Society and the MS Trust, and yeah, so many people you can reach out to, even if it's your GP. My DMs are always open on Instagram. If I take a little while to get back to you, I apologise, but it will go into my message requests, and I do try my very best. I always get back to my MS messages, because I think, like, it makes me emotional replying, because I fully understand how it feels to be in that position where you're just given this bombshell diagnosis and you don't know what to think, how to feel, what to do, what it means, what the future looks like. You don't know any of it, and it's so isolating and scary, and you are not alone with those feelings. And the one thing I can promise you is that things do get better. And I don't want to speak for everyone, because I fully understand that I feel quite lucky that I have relapsing remitting MS, and I know that people do have progressive MS, and that may not necessarily be the case, that a year later things will feel better. So I do really feel for you if you were in that position, and my heart goes out to you in everything that you are going through, because it's an awful disease, and I just really hope that perhaps there is treatment that is helping, or treatment in the future that will be breakthrough. I know that a lot of people are doing HSCT and things like that when their MS is more severe, and perhaps after they've had children, because it's almost like a form of chemo, and I believe it's basically where your immune system gets rebooted, basically. It's like a stem cell transplant treatment, I think, and so because it's similar to chemo, it can make you infertile. So that's why I referenced the kind of later on in life after children. It might be something that people go through. But yeah, I do want to say that if you have RRMS and are awaiting to get on treatment, or awaiting an official diagnosis, or struggling with symptoms, I promise that there are so many better days ahead. Like, I can't imagine being where I was in November last year and sitting here today feeling so positive and so grateful. But I am, and so I want that to hopefully reassure you. But also all the shit days, and the I can't get out of bed days, the what's going to happen days, the feeling as awful as you possibly ever could days, I really do empathise, and I'm really sorry that you're going through that. And I hope that this video has helped a little bit. I hope that those 5 points, if you're going through something really challenging right now, even if it's not MS, have kind of helped you to rethink, to take the pressure off yourself, to give yourself time to feel how you need to feel. You are going through so much, and to give you that kind of optimism that there are brighter days ahead. Oh, I think we are at the end. I think that is all I wanted to say. I mean, I could talk about MS all day long. I could go through everything more about Tysabri, but I don't want to bore everyone, and I do have information on my Instagram, like I said, so check the links below for my other videos about MS, for my Instagram link. And since it's coming up to a year, like an MS-versary, I never know which date, because I had kind of symptoms in the lead up, but I first went to A&E on Halloween, so that's coming up, and then I was admitted to hospital the 2nd to the 5th of November, and I kind of got my loose diagnosis on the 5th of November, so I guess that's my kind of MS anniversary date, even though I've had symptoms for years before that. So as that's coming up to a year, it does feel quite an emotional time, and I know I'm going to want to put a lot of content out there about MS, so it might not be another YouTube video, but I will definitely be doing content on my Instagram. So if that's something you're interested in, then head over there. Please feel free to message me, or please comment below, because I'll also get back to the comments below as well. And it might mean you can connect with people as well who are also going through something similar, or who have MS, or is looking to support someone with MS, because I think it's important to learn a lot about it as well. So I hope that this has helped more of the emotional side of things. This obviously isn't factual. I should have done a disclaimer at the beginning that I'm not a doctor or a healthcare professional, so yeah, everything I'm saying is based on my personal experiences. Bit pointless saying that at the end, but there we go, there's that little disclaimer. Oh, the only other thing I will mention, because I get lots of questions about this, is yes, I've had both COVID vaccines. I'm due my 3rd one next month, and no, this hasn't caused my MS to flare up or anything. It's had absolutely no effects whatsoever on my MS. I had them after I was diagnosed, after my treatment started. I think people are worried that it does something, but in my experience, no, and I'm just really quite bored of talking about it, to be honest. So that's that. I've also just had my flu vaccine, which as far as I'm concerned is like the same thing, and I wouldn't have thought twice about that. So yes, that covers that. That's everything. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave me a comment below with any questions. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and if you like puppies, because I always post about my black Labrador. So there's some vlogs including him if you want to watch something light-hearted after this fairly heavy emotional video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.